tremors continue long after the last of my classes have ended. Although none of my students have commented on it, I've caught a few sharing anxious glances every time a pen slips from my hand or my shoulders tense whenever called. But how unusual it must be for them to see the normally composed Miss Gales become a bundle of nerves. Even the most boisterous ones have given me less grief today. You'd think of my fourth cup of tea, or being on my fourth cup of tea, would provide any sort of comfort. What's the green stuff in the bottle, huh? What's the green stuff in the jar, Miss Gales? Or is this the fifth? Egad, why does counting matter now? The fact that I still can't shake this off, shake it off this time should tell me something. The last time this happened, I passed it off as some lapse in my part after having been sick the week before.
And it is a natural conclusion.
Those are just stories, a centuries-old lore passed by the locals to keep children in line. What place doesn't have those? One of my Da's books even went as far as to describe them as a strong part of Isabella's culture. Tree giants, women who feed on unborn children straight from the mother's womb. Ugh, God, disgusting. Or hell, there's even that one story about a demon baby. Old folklore that never had a smidgen of truth in it. Most probably told to scare off the natives there, back in the old days. Much like every other one in every other place. The world is more universal than people care to think. But looking at it from where I'm standing now, after staring right into the eyes of that woman, after all the things I've been hearing and feeling, perhaps there's really more to that bloody letter than some awful Halloween prank.
Perhaps Isabella's right all along.
Oh, you're feeling it, huh, Rebecca? You're feeling it? A terrible thing, if true. Though, that thought doesn't linger long, thankfully. Soon, the ringing of my mobile takes my attention away from it. An unfamiliar name flashes before me once the screen lights up. My brows knit together. Oh, it's Miss McCulloch! Marianne McCulloch! Marianne McCulloch. Staring hard at the screen, I try to remember when I've entered this person on my contact list. It takes a moment, but when it clicks, my eyes zeroes in on the book lying wide open on the table. You didn't remember the whole fun conversation you had with her in the library? Loaned out from the library almost a week ago. I met the woman there by sheer coincidence. A fellow history buff, apparently. We were after the same book, but in the end, she's given it to me, under the condition that I call her once I'm done. To be honest, I've completely forgotten about it until now, and, well, I also haven't really taken a peek at it until today. Normally, I'd be done with the whole volume of this size a few days after taking it out, about 1 or 2, depending on how busy I am. But finding a chance to sit down and read through it has been more difficult lately than I anticipated. One moment, I'm busy simply grading worksheets, attending a movie premiere the next, then someone suddenly inviting me out for one reason or another. Days later, a friend stops showing up in her flat, right after worrying reports pop up in the local news. There simply isn't enough time to breathe and get a grip on things. I had been flipping through the pages of the said book moments ago, though never really reading anything, and merely hoping for a distraction. To no avail. My phone gives out another ring, and this time, I do not hesitate to answer.
Marianne?
Hello! Here I was starting to wonder if it was a bad time to call. Is it?
No, not at all.
No, the kids are all at home, right?
I dismissed my last class a few minutes ago. I'm pretty much free for the rest of the afternoon. Unless something comes up. Is this about last time? The book?
Not really. I was hoping to ask you about some other thing.
Oh, sure. What about?
About something history?
You grew up in this city, didn't you?
It's a peculiar question to ask someone you've just met, but I answer her nevertheless. I'm all curious where she's heading with this, by starting with that.
Born and raised, 3rd-generation migrant. Why do you ask?
So, you must be familiar with the local lore. The, stories?
The ghost stories, local lore?
Quite. If I'm going to teach about history, I'd like to think I am, yeah? But a family friend would be a better person to ask. If you want, I can contact him for you.
No, let's just keep this thing between us, okay? It's nothing too big. And
Marianne sounds really freaked out, and it's probably because this is at some point after she's met the ghost herself, and she's just reaching out to anybody to try and find some sort of comfort.
Alright. I really don't know how else to put this without sounding a bit crazy, but things have been really, you know, odd.
Odd.
Do you remember the mansion I mentioned back when we met? My current project?
I actually never thought about this, that Marianne would actually reach out to Rebecca about the ghost. I thought like just Isabel alone freaking out would sort of convince her or whatever, or something would happen to Rebecca herself, but I can understand her change of mind, and especially that then influencing Ash's change of mind. When so many different people contact her who shouldn't know each other, right? Isabella Isabella and Marianne kind of know each other, but not on a personal level or anything like that. So if different people that, you know, don't really know each other that well contact you with the same weird ass story, you gotta think there's some truth to it, right? Or at least something to it. In hindsight, I should have expected it'll lead to this. She must not have lived here long, if she's just asking about this now. It didn't take a week with Isabella when she arrived, but that's Isabella. Superstitious down to the last hair. Though, it won't be too far off to think Marianne has only started thinking about this recently. She's working on the damn house itself. I must admit, even I'm curious now, despite living here for so many years and having so many chances to look it up before.
The Ermengarde Mansion, yes?
Yes, that one. And, the thing is, oh dear, this is a bad idea. You know what? Just forget I ever called you about this.
No, tell me. It must have been the sunny weather. It's making me sick and I see stupid things. See things?
No, wait. It's alright, I don't mind.
There's a moment's pause before she responds again. She's right in that. This is a silly thing to ask, especially between what I assume two people who are pretty grounded on their beliefs with regards to these things. I won't blame her if she hesitates.
I can't believe I'm asking you about this.
It's fine. Why don't you just think of it as some form of research?
Research purposes.
Well, alright. But after this, we're going to forget we ever had this talk.
My lips will be sealed. Now, what is it about the mansion?
Just, what do you know about it? The general gist. The place's past. What happened to the owners?
This is very important, I think. The whole goals, the girl with black hair, the woman, it's somehow all wrapped in what happened with the previous owners, right?
Anything you can give me.
Let's see. To start off,
I mean, all of the rumors in general are all connected to the history, the past, and the previous owners of what happened at the Ermengarde Mansion. I do my best to give her a concise summary, from the time the house was commissioned 400 years ago, and who had built it, up to the point it got deserted after the last heir's death, and the deed was passed on to the Ermengarde's nearest relatives. Frankly, if it weren't for those urban legends persisting, the house would have already faded into obscurity long ago. Demolished, even. These are all nothing she probably hasn't heard of before, yet there's dissatisfaction in her tone once I finish.
That's all there really is to it?
That's all it is.
as far as I know. There's this little bit I forgot to mention about Lady Charlotte Ermengarde's death, but most of those are just theories.
This'll be interesting.
Aside from that, this is really everything we've been teaching all these years.
Tell me more about how she died.
Should there be anything more?
No mention of any other weird stuff? Other crazy stories? Or a letter of some sort?
Oh, my blood runs cold. Any warmth and comfort the tea I've drank has given me prior has instantly drained out of me. The phone creaks softly as my light hold on it turns into a firm grip. This whole letter bullshit is starting to turn into more than a coincidence.
None that I've heard or read of. What does a letter have to do with this?
You know what it has to do with it, Rebecca.
Oh, no. It was just something I came across. Ignore it. Random thoughts, you know?
Yeah.
By the way, I need to run. Thanks for answering my questions.
She ends the call abruptly with only a clipped goodbye, leaving my mind heavy with even more thoughts. The mood around my classroom has gone considerably denser. In light of what little I've gleaned from that conversation, I don't think Marianne's lying about her intent. Her interest is genuine. I'd give her that, but she's left out a lot of things.
Just what the hell did we get ourselves into?
Of course, there's still a lot of confusing details in this. All of these are just assumptions. No concrete conclusion to be formed with what we have. And if we want to find out what we're really dealing with, I think Marianne's right. There might be something more to those stories. As absurd as it sounds, the very place that gave us that letter might tell us something beyond what we know. And tomorrow night, I have a few hours of that chance at the housewarming party. Totally not an exciting thought, just the place is privately owned now. You can't just wander around. But it's enough reason to keep the dread at bay, as I step out of the room, ready to put an end to this day. Oh god, dude, I just fucking want to go home! However, all those good vibes disappear into thin air when I run head first into Luke. There's really something in this man. Regardless of how much my opinion of him has changed over the span of a few hours, he simply blasts through every good impression people has of him without care or thought. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. His mere presence does it. In all honesty, I think he's the kind of guy only a mother can love.
You're still here?
Even his mom probably has a bit trouble loving him.
Obviously. Who do you think standing in front of you?
An ass.
Oh, come on,
donkey?
Daisy, you've done better than that. Losing your touch?
Luke, I don't have time for this. I'm heading home, and your face is the last thing I want to see before I leave. What do you want?
Belatedly, I notice his hand, partly raised, almost poised for a knock. At a slight lift of an eyebrow, he quickly drops it to his side and turns to Kylie. She's standing a few steps away from him, holding her hands behind her back and toying at something on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then he proceeds to make vague gestures at me and the child. He resembles a fish flopping for air with the way he's moving his arms. Do I think he's trying to urge her to speak up?
Munchkin, I thought you wanted to tell her something.
Kylie wants to tell me something?
You do it, Tio.
Why does she sound so nervous? Come on, Tio, please.
This wasn't my idea, darling.
Don't worry. I won't tell Tio what you told me the other day. And this morning.
Luke exhales, rolling his eyes at the ceiling and maybe praying for the universe to grant him more patience. He knows a losing battle when he sees one. He may act worse than a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum at times, but he's no match for an actual child. Nothing better than being served a dose of his own medicine, huh? Once his frustration has been promptly let out, he points a rude finger at me. I do my best to stare the offending digit down, but I can already hear the demand before it's even out of his lips.
You, come with us.
What do you mean, come with us?
What makes you think I will?
What?
Because little Rugrat here is upset and worried, and it's your bloody fault.
What the fuck did I do?
I've no idea what happened this morning, but if you don't come with us, I won't be hearing the end of it from her. So do me a favor, Daisy, and just be glad I'm inviting you.
You're asking for a favor, and you can't be bothered to be polite?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's been a really busy day for me. I kind of miss my couch.
And my bed.
Daisy, you just say yes.
Dude, she's starting to blush a bit. She's like, God damn it, I've never been rejected like this before. A pause follows, almost too dramatic. Afterwards, his face twists into something between a grimace and a smile. As it happens, he appears like he's in a lot of physical pain. You'd think the man is getting an aneurysm by simply being polite.
Please?
He said please! Holy shit, is the world ending? Is hell freezing over? He said fucking please!
Tio said it'll be his treat.
What? I said no such thing, Munchkin.
Well, you said it now.
I only agreed to this because you requested it. I'm under no obligation to feed her.
I
An
promise we'll
animal?
be quiet the next time I visit.
Oh, alright, but just one meal and make it the cheapest.
Well, why? What the fuck? Dude, you're fucking bloody rich. Make it the cheapest. He and Ashton will get along famously on that department. On a different front, the offer of free dinner does sound enticing. However, half-heartedly it is given. Mostly because Kylie has wisely put on her puppy eyes, and by the second, I find all my choices slipping away from
See,
me.
Miss Pink? It'll be fun.
Fun? I don't think there's like, in just a 5-meter radius around Luke, that's a no fun zone, okay? No fun to be had around Luke at all. So if he's coming with us, I don't think we'll be having any fun.
You don't have to feel sad anymore, okay?
Oh, well,
My mobile buzzes from my pocket, cutting me mid-sentence, and for a second, I'm spared from the act of giving an answer I'll regret either way. Fishing the gadget out, I wave a hand at him and excuse myself. A disgruntled expression is on Luke's face before I turn away. I guess Kylie feels a little bit guilty about what happened in the bathroom, even though I'm not sure if it's her fault. Because whenever these weird things happen, right, like we've seen Kylie sort of be in this possessed manner before, so I don't know whether that's like actually she's doing that herself, whether knowingly or unknowingly, or whether the ghost is somehow influencing our mind to see things that way when in reality it isn't, you know. So I don't even know if she should feel guilty about anything, but she probably just does, because in her mind, if she wasn't doing any of that, we just looked at her and then we just like got scared as fuck and ran out of the bathroom for no apparent reason, and then she's like, oh no, what did I do wrong? Probably something like that, so she wants to make it up. I'd be lying if I say it didn't amuse me. He's as eager to be done with this as I am, but what can I do? Checking, a message from Ashton shows up. Oh, hey Becca, I'll be around Salemville this evening, need to meet someone in the area. I might have to drop by yours and Isabella's place after. See ya. Just the usual, okay? Unlike what he does to Zachary, Ashton has the decency to let us know when he's dropping by or he's in the area for some business. From the way it's phrased, it sounds to be the latter. Either way, I'm glad he's at least aware of that boundary. Not that Isabella's ever going to let him leave the building unscathed, if he ever pulls the same stunt he does with the other man. I cringe to imagine what she'll do to him. Sighing, I slip the gadget back to my pocket, but looking up to see Luke's utter impatience on his face, and now face a different dilemma. The two of them are still waiting, and knowing the kind of person Luke is, this is already a grand gesture of goodwill coming from him. All to please his godchild. His denials aside, it's easy to tell he's really fond of Kylie from his actions alone. I kinda hate to ruin that.
Well, Daisy, we're waiting here.
On the other hand, there's Ash. His message doesn't exactly imply he's going to wait, or he's expecting me to be there, but there are matters I hope to discuss with him in person, to put it simply. Housewarming party matters. With inviting Isabella out of the question, I only have Zachary and Ashton, although the former has already made it clear he'll be busy this week. And, well, Ashton has been my first choice from the start. From the moment I was born, Ashton was my first choice. Right, Isabella? Rebecca. Why do I always confuse those two? Even if he detests attending gatherings like this, it's company that counts. We can be miserable together. Misery loves company. But that's the problem, isn't it? He hates them. It's very likely his answer will be a flat no. I'd rather not hear that. If by some miracle he agrees to it, he'll probably be sulking the whole party. Not really a tough choice when you put it like that. Still, tough choice. But I have to pick one. Oh man. I have other things to do, okay, but only because Kylie asked. Ooh, this is a toughie. The thing is, right, I don't know, Kylie seems really cute and adorable, right? She's a nice girl, she's a sweet girl, but like, I can't help but think that she is somehow wrapped up in this whole mystery thing as well, considering she's also related to Luke, or at least, you know, goddaughter or whatever. The fact that she is connected to him, or it should make her a little bit suspicious. But, like, I don't know, like, going to talk with Ash, it's like, it feels like one of those things that we can do any other time. I feel like this is something that's actually special. If I weren't to go to their house, right, of course I'm not doing it for Luke or any fucking reason like that, but I feel like if we want to find out more in general, any sort of opportunity to go to the mansion, to learn anything new, I feel like we should take. So, I mean, Kylie invited us. This is something Luke would this is an invitation Luke would never give to anybody else, right? So this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity as well. Although you would usually think a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is a good thing. In this case, because it's coming from Luke, it's not necessarily, but it's rare. It's extremely rare that he would do something like this. Oh man, oh boy. I can't believe I'm doing this, but only for you, Kylie, okay? You better not fucking disappoint me and turn out to be, you know, somehow related to this shit, or like the creepy girl in general already. I'm putting all my hopes on the fact that hopefully Kylie, even though there's like a 50-50 in my mind, I'm hoping that Kylie is just innocent in all this. In the end, it's my own fondness for Kylie that wins out. What happened? Oh god. So much for actually wanting our relationship to, you know, go bad, deteriorate. It's actually gone up. God, I'm such a fucking softie, man. Like, honestly, I don't know why. Like, whenever they sort of try to make you sympathize for a character, when they try to make you see the good parts of it, I like, those always win out for me at the end. Well, obviously, I mean, it depends. It depends on the bad things you've done, but I always try to focus on the positives with everything. And as much of an asshole as he is, you know, just the fact that he's, well, willing to do something as this for his godchild, it at least shows me that he has some sort of good side, right? Oh my fucking god. I feel like this might be a choice that I really, really end up regretting. Almost as much as sleeping with him as Marianne. Chances are, I'll only have to endure his presence for an hour or so. If it lasts more than that, I can make an excuse, a sudden call from a friend or things to work on. And the thing about Ashton's message that made it sound like, yeah, he didn't say a particular time when he'd show up, but he made it sound like he would come later at night. If we go out for something to eat right now, it's, you know, it's like right after school, right? It's like 4 PM or something like that, or 5, whatever. If we eat now, it's gonna take 2 hours tops or something, so we'll be done at 7, maybe 8 if things really run late. And Ashton will probably, at least it made it sound like he will show up later tonight, so we still have an opportunity to see him later then, after that. It doesn't seem so bad when I think of the pros and cons. At best, it'll be a quiet dinner. At worst, it'll be an awkward affair we're both eager to be rid of. Yeah, and trust me, we're not no stranger to awkward affairs, okay? I'm leaning more on the latter happening, hoping for the former, of course.
Okay, but only because Kylie asked.
Kylie's face instantly lights up. For the 3rd time today, she's tackled me into a hug before pulling away and dragging me by the hand towards the building's exits.
That's alright. I'm sure Teal doesn't mind. He let me pick where we're going to eat. Don't worry, it's just close.
Luke follows closely behind, and perhaps out of some desire to keep the dead air away, I can't resist throwing in a quip.
Keep your distance. You better not do anything funny, you hear?
I'll only be hugging and cuddling with Kylie, okay?
I'm the one who should keep my distance. May I remind you who approached me first and what you did right after?
Oh, I remember it clearly. But perhaps it's you who needs a reminder. You seem to have never learned your lesson. Care we give it another try?
My knee is ready.
Maybe this time it'll stick.
Maybe this time it'll stick.
Oh my god, can I fucking go? Seriously, oh my god. What proper adult that's wearing a suit has ever mockingly repeated something that another person said, you know, in like this childish 5-year-old tone?
You think you're
Holy
scary?
fuck.
I'll show you what's scary.
To my surprise, his tone lacks the usual sardonic note to it, and briefly, I paused to stare at him. He quickly shuts his mouth right after, and walks ahead of us. All talk and no trousers like the usual, and for the better part of our walk, except for Kylie's excited chatter, we don't speak. Somehow, I have this strange feeling I'm already getting used to this kind of banter with him. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. Bad, right? It should be bad. And amidst this newfound don't even call it the effort. It's not a friendship. Dare I call it that? Ashton's message lays forgotten and abandoned in my pocket. Seriously, we're going here again? This is like the only place we ever go to eat. Of all the places nearest to the school, Kylie picks this one, and waiting for food to be served is as awkward as I've imagined it could be, or would be. Not the bad sort though, the pleasant kind. Surprisingly, Luke's an okay bloke when he tries. When he tries. So long as you're willing to look past the tactless remarks, or we're not exchanging acerbic quips. It's clear he's making an effort for this to be as fun as possible for the 6-year-old by being chattier, even going as far as to laugh when Kylie's story calls for it. It's an interesting thing to hear from the man. More than once, I catch his frequent cheesed-off expression easing whenever he looks at the girl.
And your friend? Did you make up with her?
Yep. She said she just saw something she didn't like. She didn't accept the jellies, though. She told me to give it to you instead. She knows you like the red ones, too.
Very well. Hand it to me later. I'll bring some of them home. I think your Tia would love to have some.
What a terrible liar. He says he dislikes the idea of having children of his own, but it's easy to see some part of him genuinely wants them. No, the government should fucking euthanize him, okay? What's stopping him? Once Kylie wanders to the nearby bookshelves. After having lost interest in the conversation, however, we both revert back to silence. On our own, we have little to talk about, aside from a few questions about the other here and there. At one point, it does veer on local politics and history. He's surprisingly versed with that he can hold a decent conversation without throwing a jibe. I feel like this is gonna go in a direction again, similarly with Zach, where I just underestimate the warning that Ashton has given us about Luke, and we're gonna end up dead. I don't know, I just have the similar... Why do I always make this mistake, man? God damn it, why do I try to look for the good in people? Nothing too personal was ever mentioned so far, though. It's too early for those. And besides, I don't like him enough to speak of every minute detail of my life. Better keep it strictly between the silent and a casual repartee. This whole thing where he looks and feels wrong on so many levels, I'm quite sure he feels the same. So, when another bout of silence hits us and becomes too much, I've taken to finding something else to occupy myself. Toying with my mobile, turning it from hand to hand, while we wait for our respective meals. But it'll be a complete lie if I say I'm not waiting for some intervention. Something to pull me away from this place. Someone. Ashton's probably at Salem by this time, working on whatever business he has there. Maybe if I make up an excuse and leave now, I can still catch him.
Cut that out, it's distracting.
My hand stills, holding the gadget awkwardly between us, arrested mid-pass by his bored tone. He's been quiet for a long minute now, after complaining about how appalling the tea they're serving here is. Before that, he has whined about how uncomfortable his chair is, and how tasteless the decorations they have here. Oh, sorry it's not up to your fucking $1 million standards. Previous to that, he has griped about how dull the place is, compared to the one he frequents in the upper class side of the city. Well, I'm sorry for being a bunch of peasants, your majesty. Yeah, sorry for being a pleb, okay? Figures he'll lose patience soon, having already grumbled about almost everything his eyes can reach. It's just unfortunate he turned to me now.
Why don't you just look somewhere else?
I can't. If I turn elsewhere, I might end up looking at the bob fuck right behind us.
Oh no, not the bob fuck. I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Bob fuck? Do I even want to ask?
I don't want to hear it. If it's coming out of his mouth, it can only either be rude or offensive. Regardless, he continues.
Everything looks good. But have you seen the face?
What face?
True horror.
Huh?
What is wrong with you?
Dude.
You know, I frown about this in practice, but that mouth needs to be washed out with a particularly potent soap.
Like actual soap, like your fucking grandmother probably used to do in the 50s.
Preferably by your own mum.
A shame she isn't here,
Oh, your mum's dead? For whatever reason, that puts an end to that talk right away. He returns to watching his godchild, who has found a particularly interesting picture book. He is now poring over it, while I turn back to my mobile. Still no message. Would it kill him to at least send a message? Check if I were home? Meanwhile, Luke's silence lasts all but 10 seconds.
What is it with the damn mobile? Are you on a curfew?
I'm a fucking millennial, okay? We need to play with our mobile phones constantly. He's got the immature act down pat. I'll give him that. Seriously, how old is this guy? Has he somehow been deprived of affection during childhood?
And what is it to you? I don't think it's any of your business what I do with it.
It is my business, alright? 1, I'm the one paying here. 2, I'm being forced to eat dinner in a place this stuffed and noisy.
Well, I mean, blame your godchild for that.
Lastly, it's been 10 minutes, the food isn't here, and I'm hungry.
Hungry.
What you're doing with the mobile is annoying and distracting, when the least you can do is keep things entertaining while I suffer.
I'm not your fucking entertainment monkey.
That's your problem? Shouldn't you be more worried about how this entire affair looks to other people?
Oh, I didn't realize this was one. You move fast, Daisy.
Whoa!
You could have informed me first, you know.
This is not an affair, okay?
Had I known, I would have taken you someplace nicer. Certainly the kind with better food and plenty of good wine.
Why did I ever think this was a good idea?
Fuck, dude.
Did it ever occur to you how inappropriate this might look to everyone?
Why should I care? It's only inappropriate if you make it out to be. Relax, I won't do anything to make your boyfriend angry.
Boyfriend?
He doesn't even need to know we dined out.
The fuck do you mean, boyfriend? How does he know I don't have a boyfriend?
It'll be our dirty little secret.
Yeah, because you're used to this shit, right? He probably expects like, ah, you're similar like me, huh? Cheating on your boyfriend, husband, whatever.
He's not my boyfriend!
The words come out with more force than I've intended. By the time I realize my slip-up, his lips are already spread in a sneer. He slowly crawls up in my face.
So there is someone. You're so easy to read.
God damn it. Briefly, his eyes search my face. I have no idea what he sees, nor do I care to know. But in the next second, he barks out a laugh, displaying his amusement without reserve to everyone within earshot. In that moment, I flipped a switch in him somewhere, and I've lost my chance to deny his assumptions. Do I even want to? Isn't that the reason why I've been so focused on my mobile? Waiting for another message from him? For a reason to dump this awkward meeting to go after him.
Look how mottled you are. Now the nickname makes more sense. Shy Miss Pink and her cute little crush.
God damn it. I really want to go back now. Fuck.
The color
It
suits
just feels
you, by
like
the way.
he's mocking
And
me,
matches
you
the
know?
hair.
Why did I even think this was a good idea? Where the fuck is Kylie? Didn't I only come here to be with Kylie? And then she's running off playing with fucking picture books and shit? Leaving me alone with this asshat?
It's not a crush!
Classic denial. But in reality, you want him to be yours, and your every move is made to make him notice you. In fact, you don't want him to see you with another man in a non-professional capacity, because he might misinterpret it.
The same thing goes for you, doesn't it? Bloody, yours is even worse. What about your wife? Aren't you concerned she might misinterpret this?
Daisy, just because we tied the knot doesn't mean we have to be joined at the hip at every single opportunity.
True, but it also doesn't mean that your hip should be in other people's hips, you know?
Don't be ridiculous. Why else would you marry her if you don't want to be with her for the rest of your lives?
Because, Daisy, she also has other things she can do with her life and friends to spend time with.
I mean, when he said, like, be at each other's hips, right? 24/7. It just means that you don't have to be around each other the entire freaking time. Doesn't mean you don't want to spend the rest of the life with them, right?
Granted, I don't like some of them, and I have a few of my own she utterly dislikes. But wifey doesn't have to know my every move. Nor do I hers. Do you know how boring that would be? To be with the same person for all hours of the day, losing sleep over the mere fact they're not with you?
I mean, I don't know, quite a few people are like
or
that.
putting everything you have aside to please them, to have your whole world revolve around one person.
Aren't you just mistaking that for something else? Unlike you, there are other people here who don't share the same jaded outlook you have. Don't lump everyone together just because it didn't work out for you.
And you, my dear, are unexpectedly naive.
What's so naive about it? If you love each other, wouldn't you want to always see them, be with them, to have them focus solely on you? Maybe you haven't been loved enough.
Oh, it's that kind of thing for you, isn't it? The love is eternal, love is a strong emotion shite. A starry-eyed girl pining for her dashing Prince Charming.
I feel like that's what it's like a lot in the beginning of a relationship, but then it kind of just, you know, deteriorates a little bit over time.
What's next? Romantic confessions of love? A grand wedding on the beach? Dozens of spawns running around in some picturesque home in the suburbs? How quaint. Are you also expecting it's going to be sunshine and rainbows after? A happily ever after?
But I feel like it's both are just sort of working at the extreme of either side, right? When it's in reality probably somewhere more in the middle.
Please.
What? I never once said... And is all of that such a bad thing to hope for?
No. Everybody hopes for it, but whether it actually happens is another thing.
Woman, I've been married for 7 years, and I'm telling you, it's far from what you have in your pretty red head. Tell me, how long has this song and dance been going for you and your man? Maybe I am mistaken.
A really long time. Like the music only just started, we aren't even dancing with each other or anything like that. Averting my eyes from him is all I managed to do. What does his mere 7 years have compared to the 17 I've had with Ash? It's laughable he thinks those two things are even comparable. Yeah, because he, you know, even though you know Ash longer, there's nothing going on between you two. So, even though, you know, his marriage is shorter, you're not even married to Ash, you're not even in a relationship with him, so those things are indeed not comparable. Ash and I may have never moved past the boundaries of friendship, like what I'm hoping for years. But what we have isn't something anyone can scoff at. I've always been by his side, endured everything with him. I know him better than anyone. No matter what this man, this complete stranger says, I know there will always be a place for me beside him. And yet... Come on, Daisy, that shouldn't be too hard. 3, 5, 8, 10, 20. His words easily seep into my heart like sharp daggers, gradually picking apart everything I've ever been sure of. I so desperately want to get the fuck out of here. Despite myself, my doubts resurface, and my defenses crumble right in front of my eyes. It's no wonder he sees through me, and as expected, he ridicules it. Laughs. Fuck this fucking dude, okay? Restrained, low and rumbling, a sharp sound striking the air around us, amidst the murmur of people, and the soft notes of the music playing over our heads. Now I remember why I fucking hate him, right? Like, god damn it, he's such an insufferable person when Kylie is not around. When he's not doing something for Kylie, when Kylie isn't in the near vicinity, he becomes this fucking douchebag. And that's the one where just like, fuck this dude. I just got like, I couldn't say no to Kylie. That's kind of what it came down to. His shoulders shake, and when his mere mirth becomes too much even for him, he reaches up a hand and passes it over his face, as if to hold his glee close to him.
Bloody bullocks, this is just brilliant.
I would just walk out right now, just like, fuck you, dude.
Oh, mother, why do I always keep running into these things? This day couldn't get any better. I think I'm gonna need a stiff drink after this.
He dissolves into another peal of laughter, but when it subsides, what he has for me are more words. Scathing, each of them. The urge to run from here has never been this strong. Just do it.
Is everything you said how you plan to act, if that man of yours ever ends up with you? Cling to him? Put him on a bloody pedestal? Let him become the center of your universe? Although with how long this seems to be going on, I think you've already done so. Marriage will just be icing on the top. Like some sort of reward for you, isn't it? For being a good, patient, loyal little girl all this time, never looking at another man. You must have been having a grand time with someone pining over him this long. I'm a little envious, to be honest. Maybe also a little surprised he hasn't suffocated from all your attention yet.
Laugh all about it if you want. It's not like you'll ever understand.
Luke falls silent. The ridicule in him is gone in an instant, and his eyes meet mine, sharp and imposing. A challenge, but I hold it against him with the same intensity, because if there's something I won't let his opinion trample on, it's this. What does he know? However, he's the first one to look away. We fucking won that eye-to-eye battle. What's it called? Staring contest? Focusing his eyes back to where Kylie is. For a moment, I believe I've won, until he draws in a breath and turns back to me. The words he drops next, though hushed, hang heavily in the distance between us.
You're right. I won't. But I do know not to mistake love for obsession, woman. They are not the same thing.
It rattles. Out of everything he said tonight, this is the one thing that twinges my heart. Maybe it's the manner in which he delivers it, the lack of conceit in his posture, or an underlying insult in the tone he takes. The remark is not meant to cut, merely to express a simple truth. This time, it's him who holds gaze against mine. Another unspoken challenge, and I realize that, if this happened minutes before, I'd already have an equally searing retort at the tip of my tongue. There's none. But the anger is there, ringing at my insides, prodding at the uncertainties I've kept long. Isn't it enough? We have the long years we've been together. We have the memories. Whenever he needs me, until other people came in between us, I've always been the one there. It kinda does sound like obsession though, doesn't it? The way she speaks about Ashton when, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, obviously they're very good friends, like, they've known each other for a very, very long time, 17 years, that's certainly nothing, as she said, to scoff at, but the way she talks about it makes it sound like there's so much more than just good friends, or just even just like they're way past the boundary of friends, when it's actually not the case at all. So it really sounds a lot like obsession indeed. That dedication and loyalty should mean something, shouldn't it? I've always been sure of it, and that one day, he'll see it for what it is. In spite of it, in this minute, under this man's scrutiny, my own heart wavers. Now I struggle to find the words. I don't need to answer that. What right do you have? I don't want to egg him on or anything like that, right? So this is not a pleasant conversation, obviously. I don't want to partake in it any more than necessary. So, you know, don't give him anything that he can take and make the conversation even more insufferable with. However, those are for me to ponder on, yes. Wait, did that make the relationship better or not? I don't fucking see. I think it actually went better. That was not the intention. This ours doesn't need to hear them, and neither is he entitled to them just because he dishes out some profound-sounding life wisdom no one asked for. So I look away, hoping my own silence would be enough of an answer for him. And it is, for a moment, up until warm, furious tears prickle behind my eyes, stinging. Whoa, she's crying? Begging for release, along with every other frustration this dumb talk has built up in me. All because of this man. I hate him. I hate the fact that he has to be the one to see me in this sorry state. I'm already expecting another barb from him when his expression shifts. Except he panics. In the span of 3 seconds, his expression changes from indifferent to concerned to utter panic. It would probably have been funny if I weren't so irked by the sight of this glycid bastard.
Hey, are you crying? Are you going to cry? Just stop that right now, woman, or I'll...
Will you shut up?
He clams up almost before I could finish. Whether this is due to the sudden force in my voice or how I look, I pretend not to think of it. He seems like a deer caught in the headlights, with way he's making himself smaller in his seat. But I'm still pissed. I'm tired, and if I can't punch him, I can at least scream
You're
at him.
an annoying bag of dick, you know that? If I hear another word from you, I'm sewing that bloody mouth shut myself!
Holy shit, we're making a scene, but this is totally worth it. It does do the trick. Not to the effect I've hoped for, but the moment I've snapped at him, the stinging at the back of my eyes melts away, and a strange calm overcomes me. A fragile thing when found in the middle of a busy coffee shop. Nevertheless, it's appreciated considering it doesn't last, immediately broken by the very person that put me in a state with a few awkward pats to my shoulder. Done twice, thrice, and another, until my patience runs out, and I'm pulling out the book from my bag. Oh, do you want to fucking get hit by my thick book again? Raising it threateningly over his head. It'll surely dent his skull if it slams down at this height. Part of me wants to see that, but I restrain myself. He has the good sense to recoil, though. Shortly, he shrinks back to his seat and waves his hand in front of him in a gesture of surrender.
Watch that book, woman! I already warned you about the little threats. You don't want to see my brand of angry!
He's genuinely terrified of that book.
Then keep your hands to yourself!
Alright, that's it. People these days, I swear you treat them nicely and this is where it gets me.
What part of you saying that entire shit earlier was nice?
You're the last person I'd ever want to comfort me, even if we're the only 2 remaining people on Earth. Don't flatter yourself.
Okay, have it your way, Daisy.
And stop calling me Daisy! I have a name, you know!
He mutters something inaudible under his breath, although afterwards, he doesn't say anything further. I feel like this is kind of a rich thing in general, right? Where they just don't take people's names seriously and they just make up their own name for them in such a patronizing way. Like, alright Daisy, alright, just calm down, okay Daisy? Like, it's just like sort of Hannah kind of did it as well with Marianne. Like, sure, it's very, very close, but with Isabella too, it's just Isabel, and just think like that. I don't know. I just this couple in general. I don't know if it's rich people, but I've seen some other rich people do it too. But just like, come on, it's not that hard to learn a person's name, right? For the next minute, he simply contents himself with making a mess out of the paper napkins, folding them into clean shapes without any clear intent, for crumpling them in his hands when he loses interest, and dumping them in a small pile in front of him. A waiter serves our meal soon enough, and Kylie makes her way back to our table. Thank you, Kylie, god damn it! But before I can take a single bite, he mutters something. The words spoken in the same tone he's used since morning, and they're all under his breath, whatever the honest part of himself would show. Despite my rather confusing opinion of the man, I stop short of shoving food in my mouth to look at him. His eyes are on his food as he speaks, busying himself with cutting a portion of meat on his plate. But what comes out of him only rings true against my ears, above the din of the coffee house.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you.
He called me Rebecca.
Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
He spears a piece of his food, pops it into his mouth, and that's it. One whole day with this man, and I still can't figure what his deal is. It's just, I don't fucking understand him. Like, why? He acts like an ass the entire freaking time, and then he shows like a sort of a real moment of himself like this, and then it's supposed to make up for every shitty thing he did before this. Like, I don't understand. Like, I understand if you're an asshole and you're always a fucking asshole, right? But like, he acts like an asshole and then he acts the complete opposite as well. Or you see glimpses of it, right? And it makes you think like, you know, maybe he's just unknowingly being an asshole. I don't know. It's just so confusing. But for what it's worth as well, I don't think he's an entirely bad guy. See, and that's the thing, right? Just because of what he said alone, we're like, maybe he's not entirely bad. Sure, he's bad. He's pretty bad, but not entirely. The rest of our meal slips by in silence afterwards. Aside from Kylie's occasional chatter, the whole dinner goes by without another word exchanged between the two of us. Somehow, we managed to make it through the whole thing without triggering another tension-riddled conversation. A good thing, perhaps. One, because Kylie's sitting in front of us. And two, I probably won't be able to hold a proper conversation with my mind heavy with thoughts. We depart from the coffee house just as the evening crowd starts to thin out. The same wordless silence fills our short walk back to school, except for when Luke gestures at a nearby flower shop and enters it without waiting for Kylie and I. He emerges minutes after, carrying a bouquet of daffodils with the same softened expression on his face. Daffodils to give to Hana, right? They sort of love daffodils. Or no. What Hana said is that for some reason Luke really likes daffodils, but her theory is that it reminded him or has some sort of connection to his mother, right, who is dead. But he never speaks about it. That's what it is. I feel the way that I feel like Luke might be is that just like underneath all his ass hattery and fucking annoying and whatever else he is, right? It's just an ass in general. Beneath that, he's probably just a pretty nice guy, but for some reason he just turned into this asshole because of all of his experiences in the past or something. I don't know. But like, this alone, that he somehow just goes in and buys flowers, and given what we know what Hana said about this particular flower, daffodils, you can't just be 100% pure evil, right? It takes a really special person to be just 100% pure evil, and I don't really think Luke is that. Oh man. Unlike the previous ones, he tucks this one away almost as soon as he looks up at us, a moment he's not willing to share. In my confusion, he merely answers with a shrug and continues walking.
For someone important.
I accept it for what it is, if only because he doesn't owe me an explanation. It does leave more questions about him, each one as baffling as the previous one. Those are the last words spoken this evening, before we head our own ways. Up until I arrive home, I still can't understand him. He's so fucking confusing. Here, however, a whole different set of questions await me, and much like everything today, it comes with the littlest of things. A lone note greets me upon reaching my unit's door. Its edges flutter lightly against the faint, warm breeze passing through the small complex. My hand stops short of twisting the knob as I stare at it, though I don't make any move to take it. Ashton's neat script line lines its surface. What did he say? Dropped by earlier, you weren't around. Any ideas where Scaredy Cat is? I couldn't contact her. Inspector Abigail has a few questions. LPD stuff. Something about her dead co-workers. Anyway, let me know how the two of you have been doing. I'll see you later. Ash, look at that. He fucking scribbled an emoji there. I don't know what kind of emoji that is. It's like a thumbs up or like a star with a wink. That's what it is, right? It's a wink. It's a winky face. The message he left, short and straight to the point. but nothing without the underlying hint of friendship. He's looking for Isabella, apparently. Something about LPD's investigation of her co-worker's death, but ends its formal tone by checking on me. Us. I really do get the sense that Isabella's actually just, like, really obsessed about Ash. Like, she thinks there's way more than friendship, and she's just waiting. Like, she's been waiting, not 17 years, but, like, probably more than 5 years, if not 10 or whatever, how long she's had a crush on him, right? She's just waiting for him to sort of realize it, like, oh, someday he'll realize that we're meant to be together, right? Like, the more and more, like, information we're presented with, the more I actually do feel that Rebecca is obsessed with him, like, almost in an unhealthy manner. Any other day, the former part of his message will likely prod at the piercing envy I've been holding, while the latter will probably send my heart aflutter. Little things from him that I want to mean something more. Yet this time, only guilt fills me, and my eyes briefly shift towards Isabella's empty unit. Luke's words repeat inside my head as I do so.
For what it's worth, Rebecca, I didn't ever think that's all there is to you. Why else would I leave my own goddaughter in your care if you're just some lovesick woman?
Have I always been like this?
This selfish? In truth, I've intended to call Ash after that dinner, if I didn't catch him here, invite him to the party like I planned. There's time, and he's probably still awake around this hour, but my hands won't move. And perhaps it is for the better. Until I've had the time to think this through, it'll be best if I distance myself from those I've been clinging tightly to, find a different perspective, and see things for what they are. With a soft sigh, I reach for the note and crumple it under my hand. The knob twists open with much ease when I enter this time. Maybe after some introspection, it'll be easier. For tomorrow, I have that woman and a mansion to worry about.